everybody, welcome back to Art a la Carte. Today I'm going to take you through the steps I go through when I create a completed illustration. So this isn't going to be a tutorial on how to draw this girl or how to color with Copics. These are steps that a lot of artists use, but I'm just kind of breaking them down a little bit easier for you. And you can use them on whatever you draw, whether it's people or pets or race cars or whatever it is. So step number one is to get the initial sketch, to design what it is you are wanting to draw. Some artists like to jump right into pen and ink straight away. I prefer the method where you go in with pencils first and you lightly sketch in and you get your design. This way, I can really flesh out the character and make sure there's a lot of life and movement. Not that you can't get movement and life in an ink drawing. I mean, just check out some people's Inktober. It's amazing. But being able to go in with pencils first really helps me, at least. So if you haven't tried sketching out with pencils first, I would definitely give that a try. Now, one question I get asked all the time is, why don't I use a regular pencil? Why am I using a color pencil? And that is because I like variety. I have drawn so long with graphite pencils that using an erasable color pencil makes things a little bit more interesting for me. Another reason I use it is the brand I use is the Cool Erase color pencils, and they don't smear and smudge as much as some graphite pencils do. So you can definitely pick and choose which you like to do better, if you like to use just a regular drawing pencil or an erasable color pencil. Now, if you're curious about any of the products that I'm using, I will have links to where I purchased them online on Amazon in the description box below. You can check that out. But the biggest tip that I can give you, the biggest hint, the biggest thing I can tell you in any of these steps is to take your time. Don't rush any of these steps. It doesn't mean that every single step has to take a long amount of time, but don't rush it. If there is something wrong in your sketch, something is off, the proportion's off, the design is off, don't wait until further on down the line to fix that. Fix that in the sketching portion, because it's not going to get fixed during coloring or inking or anything like that. So fix it then. Another thing to think about is having fun with detail. Some drawings are really fun being simplistic, but I find pushing myself to get a little bit more detail into the costume and the design of the character really adds a little bit something more to think about and look at as a viewer. I do all of those things in the initial sketch up. Now, once I've gotten to the sketch the way I like it, and I think it looks good, then I move on to step 2, which is to ink this in. Inking in can be really scary because it has the great potential of taking an awesome pencil sketch and totally destroying it. So if you are uncertain or scared of your inking in process, a good hint is to go find some old sketches that maybe you don't care about and practice inking those in. Practice on things you don't care about and get your skill up to then begin to ink in the things you do care about. If you're really like, oh no, but I want to ink in this drawing, I don't want to wait, you can use a light box and put the sketched in drawing on the light box and then put another piece of paper on top and ink that in. That way, if you make a mistake, you can throw away the ink one, but you still have the sketch. If you don't know what a light box is, I'll have a link to a light box in the description box below so you can check that out. So another thing you're going to notice is that I don't always use black ink. I have a wide variety of different colored inks, from browns to pinks, purples, greens, blues, and that's just an artist's preference. I enjoy using them, and then sometimes I like to choose ink colors that are going to match the overall color scheme. And that brings us to step number 3, which is to begin coloring. Now, before you even pick up your marker or paint or color pencil or whatever it is you're going to use to color, you want to think of the colors that you are going to use in the sketch. You might really like the color pink, and then you think, but I want something orange and something blue. But maybe orange, pink, and blue don't really go together. They might, but maybe they don't. So sometimes artists will have little sheets of paper where you can do little color swatches and see which colors look the best for what you're trying to draw. I have a whole chart that has all of the colors that I'm using on the side so I can go through and kind of pick what works best together. So for this one, I'm using really earthy tones. I did the inking in a dark brown, and then all the other colors that I colored her with are kind of earthy browns and greens. Now, I'm using Copic markers to color this. Definitely don't have to use Copic markers. This method works with any kind of coloring medium out there, whether it's paints or pencils, crayons, markers, whatever it is you want to use. So the first coloring that I do is called the flat coloring, and then leads us into step number 4, which is to begin to build that up, to add your contrast. So once I have my flat coloring in there, then I'm going to look for places that I'm going to add shadows and possibly highlights. Things that I want to push back, I'm going to color a little bit darker. So you'll see by her face and her hair, I'm using those darker tones to help push that back. The inside of her skirt, I'm going to be adding some darker tones in there as well, and that's going to add a little bit more depth to this drawing. I didn't go into a lot of shading and highlighting in this drawing here because I wanted this look to be a little bit more illustrative than realistic, but you kind of get the idea that I pushed the color contrast. Again, as with all the steps, take your time. Take your time with inking, take your time with coloring, take your time with adding shadows. Don't rush it. If you're not satisfied with something, keep working on it or put it aside until you are happy with it. The last and final step is to add in your final touches. After you have the inking and the coloring and the contrast in there, then look for any places that you just want a little add of pizzazz. Sometimes this step has a lot to do, and sometimes it's very little. So I used a little white gel pen to add some shine in different places, and then decided to go back and add a little bit more rosiness in her cheeks. So here are the basic 5 steps that I go through from taking something from a just basic sketch drawing to a more finished colored piece. I would love to hear your guys' methods of how you color or create artwork, so let me know in the comment section below. Or if you'd like to share your artwork, please tag me in social media. I have links to Instagram and Twitter and Facebook as well. If you're brand new to my channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon. That way you won't miss out on any future videos. And as always, thanks for hanging out with me. God bless you guys, and we'll see you in another art video. Bye-bye!